Blacks in Technology.
Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology.
Welcome everyone to the Blacks in Technology Bit Tech Talk podcast. I'm your host, Greg Greenlee, the founder of Blacks in Technology, and this is a podcast show where we talk to Black women and men who are engineers, innovators, educators, inventors, change makers, and entrepreneurs doing amazing things in the world of technology. This podcast is where they share their stories, experiences, ideas, knowledge, and perspective on tech with the Bit community. If this is your first time checking us out, you can follow us at you can check us out at the following URLs. We're at www.blacksandtechnology.net. We are also on Twitter at Black and Technology, and that's BLKINTECHNOLOGY. On Facebook as well under Blacks and Technology, all spelled out. LinkedIn group Blacks and Technology, Instagram Blacks and Technology as well. Blacks in Technology is a tech-focused community and media organization, and we're dedicated to increasing the representation and participation of Black women and men in the technology industry. So if you want to partner with us, if you want to somehow sponsor one of these magnificent podcasts, shoot us an email at contact us at blacksandtechnology.net. All right, so I want to introduce our guest. Shola, he is the founder and CEO of Bomalink. We're going to talk a lot about that. It's a global business community and professional networking platform, and it's a service that connects members with African opportunities in Africa. Mr. Salako is the CEO of Optimal Business Systems, an information technology solutions provider firm based in Michigan. Michigan. We're natural rivals, by the way. We'll talk a little bit about that. He's in Michigan. I'm in Ohio. So I want to introduce to the show Shola Salako.
Well, first of all, thank you so much, Greg, for having me on this podcast. It's a great honor. I'm originally from Nigeria in West Africa. I was born and raised in Buffalo, New York. My parents went to school there, and they had myself and my younger brother in New York before we moved to Nigeria after they finished college. Yes, that's on a high level. That's my background. Went to middle school and high school in Nigeria. It was part of the most challenging, interesting times of my life. And I returned back to the U.S. about 22 years ago for college, and I've been here ever since.
Excellent. And you know, that's very interesting. That actually kind of leads us into one of our next questions. You spent quite some time in Nigeria. You went to junior high school there. You went to high school there.
Yes.
And it's always, you know, people who come from outside of the country, they always have different perspectives when they enter the country, and they have different worldview perspectives. Kind of tell me how living there kind of shaped your outlook in the world and your career path in tech. How did that transform?
Oh wow, that's really amazing question. Honestly, when we first moved back to Nigeria, my parents literally had to trick my brother and I. We were really just going to go there to exactly. We're going to visit grandma and get to know our cousins, our families over there. And next thing you know, they cut off our afros, and they put us in schools, and that's really how they tricked us. But quite frankly, quite frankly, I have never seen a world. I had never seen a world like Africa before we moved back. It was really interesting. It's a totally different world. I experienced some really interesting social things that I had to learn. It was when I moved to Africa that I realized that I was dark skinned. I thought I was just, black like everyone else, but actually it
Right.
was in Africa. I realized I was darker than the average. I was, sometimes teased about it. It affected my self esteem a little bit. But also
Huh.
it was in Africa I learned that it's possible to be poor to be like really, really poor. Like I thought we were poor
Right.
already in New York, you know.
Right.
But when we got to Africa, especially when I was sent to boarding school, that was really the first time I experienced hunger. In New York, at least we had access to welfare and some assistance, but in Africa, it was a totally
Mm.
different thing. You really had to fend for yourselves. Back to the other part of your question about comparing Africa and then coming back to America, it made me really, really appreciate various opportunities. Like I remember a
Mhm.
computer class in Nigeria. We had hundreds of people waiting in line to use one computer. And
Wow.
it was a big deal. It was a thing of honor to eventually get your turn in front of the computer and play around with it for 20 minutes and then you get
Right.
up and it's someone else's turn. So I bought my first computer back in 98 and it
Mm.
was really, really a big deal to me to just own that gateway computer with 32 megs of RAM and 960 megs of hard drive space. It really was a big deal. It was a Bentley of computers for me, you know. So,
Wow.
but
Yeah.
thanks for asking that. Thank you.
Yeah. No. No problem. No problem. Yeah. I'm always curious, just because there's this outlook on about Africa. People who don't really know about the continent itself, they see every aspect of Africa as being kind of in the dark ages, as opposed to, being developed, and there being, a really vibrant economy. Whether or not everyone is able to participate in that economy, that's another thing. But
Right, right.
everyone is not walking around with no shoes on and all that stuff. And so,
No,
yeah,
no.
yeah. Coming from America, the things we get bombarded with, the images that we get bombarded with, even
Yes,
growing up all throughout our lives, that's what you would think. And so
yes,
I just kind of wondered, like, the different aspects of the views of Africa, and how you felt when you visited there and things
yeah,
like that. So very,
yes.
very interesting. How'd you get interested in technology? I know you said you bought your first computer, but what kind of drove you to even
Uh-huh.
look at technology as a possible career path?
Oh yeah, actually, growing up, my parents always wanted me to be a doctor. And I obeyed. You know how African parents are, black parents. They typically want to dictate your future and live through
Yeah.
you. So they felt it was best for me to be a doctor, and I gave it
Mm.
a great shot. I was pre med. And I was very good in the sciences, but Greg, I must point out to you that I didn't feel fulfilled in the medical sciences. I studied
Mm.
the upper and lower limbs of the human bodies, looked at cadavers and things like that. But then I realized
Wow.
that there's so much to know about the human body and it's so advanced. I wasn't there when the human body was created, so I don't know how
Right.
these nerves connected and how the heart works and how we're figuring it out as we go. A lot of doctors, it's really about trial and error. Medicine is mostly
Mm.
trial and error. We try all kinds of medications on rats and lab animals
Right.
and eventually on humans. But one day, I was really just, my roommate actually came home with a computer. He had no idea what it
Hmm.
was doing, but he felt we were supposed to be online, and he asked me for help. And he asked me to help him put it together, plug in the keyboards, the mouse, and I just followed the instructions on his computer. And this was back in the days of AOL when AOL was pretty big. You got
Oh yeah.
mail. That was the slogan back then. So I put it together and I would spend hours upon hours just understanding the internet, understanding building websites. And I
Mm.
got my first websites back then on geocities.com. Special shout out to the folks
Oh
back
yeah.
then. There were lots of us who will study HTML. This was before CSS, actually,
Yeah, yeah.
before PHP, and it will dazzle me. And I use Notepad to write HTML code, put my websites together, and I would show it off. I love to show off my talent, my skills, and that was it for me, Greg. And back then, I used to be a bank teller, and there was a vice
Okay.
president. Yeah, there's a vice president at the bank who needed help with his wife's website, and I told him I'll help him. I built the website from scratch, launched it for him, and they were very, very happy. This guy wrote me a check for $835 and gave it to me. And I thought, wait a minute, what is the check for? He said, oh, that's for your services. That's how much they were going to pay a professional to do it.
Mm.
And I already
Yeah.
thought I thought I was already paid. I was already paid because I had so much fun building their website. And that's
Nice.
when it started. And I started to build more websites for people, started to fix computers. And then I switched my major to information systems. It was a community college back then here in Michigan,
Hmm.
and that really was how I got into computers. But the fundamental thing, Greg, is I appreciate software and tech and code because I feel like an original creator that we all are. With
Right.
technology, you can give instructions to these dumb computers and they do exactly what you tell it to do. And we have the
Yeah.
history, we know what's coming, we know what we've done. So it feels very empowering to be able to impact the world through technology. And I chose it, and I'm very grateful for the the opportunity I was given for this.
Yeah, it's really, really, I love that you mentioned, these dumb, computers, these dumb boxes,
Yes.
because a lot of people think, y- they think it's magic. They think that these things just automatically happen, that these
Yeah.
computers are the things that are smart, as opposed to the people, the men and women that are actually programming and using code to make these
Yes.
computers do what they do.
Absolutely.
And I think that's something that's real that we need to uncover, and
Yes.
that we need to show, especially people from our community,
Hmm.
that we need your mind and your talent and your imagination, to be
Yes.
able to push these boundaries so that we can make these computers do things that we want them to do. And it's not all about,
Yes.
where you come from or anything like that. It's about, what type of imagination do you have, and then
Yes.
learning the code, and then making these computers do exactly what you want them to do. And
Absolutely.
when we get to that point, then that's when we can really start competing in this technological ecosystem uh,
Yes.
that we have here. So yeah, definitely.
Yes.
So
Yes.
so moving forward, you're now the CEO of Optimal Business Systems.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that. Tell us about what Optimal Business Systems is and what types of solutions that you offer.
Oh, yes. Yes. Thanks for asking. Business Systems is really a custom software development company. We build mostly web apps, mobile apps, uh, dashboards. It really depends on what the business requirements entail. We
Hmm.
have customers mostly here in the U.S., but also in Europe and in Africa. I over the years I kept in touch with my African brothers and sisters on the continent, and every
Hmm.
so often they'll reach out to me with new ventures, new projects, and I'll fly out there and really study the problem, and then we come up with innovative solutions for solving them. But yeah, we are a team of 22 people, and
Nice.
yes, we cover various technology stacks, but mostly on the open source side. So the Linux side,
Nice.
PHP, MySQL backends,
Yeah.
things that are really, really innovative. And it's really been a very fun process just solving problems for various businesses, especially startups. Those are the most fun ones. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And I want to go back and I want to touch on a little bit of something that you mentioned that people
Uh-huh.
might not have caught.
Okay.
You said community college, okay?
Yes.
And I think that's important because I
Yes.
I went to a community college myself.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah, and
Wow.
and and I say that I bring
Mhm.
that up because a lot of people think that you need to attend, MIT. They think you need to attend Harvard or any of these top colleges
Mhm.
and obtain a 4-year computer science degree in order to be anything in tech. And I just, I'm glad that you mentioned that because that's
Mhm.
not true. You can
Yes.
either you can go to community college, 2-year
Yes.
college, learn, and then afterwards you really start. For at least for me,
Mhm.
community college was kind of like the icing on the top. I was
Okay.
already learning about technology and things like that. So
Nice.
community college reinforced some of the things I was learning, and then
Yeah.
after that, you kind of have that base. You have that education, and you can further your knowledge.
Yes.
This is just a kind of a thing I want to put out there for people that are listening
Yes.
that. You don't have to go to a 4-year college. You don't, and as a
Yes.
matter of fact, you don't necessarily need to go to college. It's
Yeah.
nice, but
Yes.
if you don't have the means, you can self-study. You can learn on your own. You can get into this industry
Yes.
without having to actually have a 4-year or whatever, or master's degree or PhD.
Yes.
Those things are nice, and I never want to deter anyone from going that route. I'm just saying that it's not. You don't necessarily have to do it, and so I'm glad you
Yes.
you brought that up and mentioned that.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. I really, really agree with you, Greg. And to add to what you just shared, which is very beautiful, some of my best inspired moments happened in community college. Most of
Mm,
the stuff that I had learned came from just innovation and imagination. And I'm glad you touched also on
right.
imagination. I'm a firm believer that if you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand eventually. It's all
Mm,
about
like
seeing
that.
it and then
Yeah.
having a strong will and desire to bring it into fruition. So I
Yeah.
did a lot of that while I was teaching myself. When I got my first computer, I really went to community college to really make it more, so to speak, official. Like, let me get some kind of certificate that
Yeah.
can tell everyone that I know this stuff and they should hire me and trust
Yes.
me in what I do best. But while I was in community college, I had access to more computers and to learn
Yep.
about what's out there, what are the trends out there, what are people talking about, building some more real life projects. And I always went way over and beyond on every school project. Like I remember a crossword puzzle. I took it way, way far with Visual Basics, and it became something like really, really real that you can literally sell that stuff, you know. But to
Nice.
your point, what really matters is the desire we're all born with, and the
Yeah.
talents we have in our hearts, the will to want to create something. College only gives you probably more awareness and more exposure. But if you have that innate desire, that knowledge will come. You will find it. It's everywhere.
Mm.
You just need a desire to want to do it.
I 100% agree. I'm in the same boat as you. I was already well into my tech career
Yeah.
before I decided that I wanted to go back because I wanted, I have 2 young boys, and so and I have an older daughter, and so part of that was for them, right? You can go to college, you can obtain a degree if you want to, and here's something to show for it, right? Part of that was self gratification. Can I do this? Can I go back to college and can I apply my knowledge to get this degree? I did, and you come out. And once again, like you said, you get exposed to different things in college that you might not have been exposed to before you went to college. That was a huge thing for me. And then from there, it's all about desire. It's all about discipline and your motivation to move forward and to
Yes.
propel yourself in this tech industry.
Yes.
And so we both say that to everyone that's listening because
Yes.
it's kind of a non-traditional route, right? Especially
Yes.
when you think about our white counterparts and what they do.
Hmm.
They get groomed at an early age,
Yes.
right? And they get the actual education even before college. They get it in
Yes.
in grade school, and
Hmm.
then junior high school and high school. Something that some of us are not privileged enough to receive. And
Yes.
then they have that background already before they even go to college, right?
Yes.
And then they go to college and everything like that. So we kind of went that non-traditional route, but we still made it and we still became
Yes.
successful in this
Yes.
industry. And that's a
Yes.
testament to our hard work, our dedication, but that's also
Yes.
a testament of this path, right? And that
Yes.
you can do this as well. So I'm glad you
Yes.
mentioned that.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about your day as the CEO of Optimal. Like, what's your typical day look like?
Well, my day is rather unconventional from a lot of tech CEOs. And I'm sure you will understand it because I sense we have very similar backgrounds in the tech world.
Hmm. Right,
So I'm typically around sales, getting new
mm,
business, scoping
right,
projects, understanding how many hours various things would take, making sure we have the capacity to deliver and those things. And then the other
yeah,
half is the more fun side, and that's product management. I love to see how things are coming along, challenging my team, forcing them to really think big and think
hmm,
outside of the box. So I like to be involved in the different sprint meetings for various projects and question why certain things were done in certain ways and contributing. Sometimes I roll up my sleeves and get in and, play around with code and, try to help solve really challenging issues. But yeah,
yeah,
but typically around sales presentations and doing pitches and talking to even investors, and
right.
then also with the actual product development. Yes.
Nice, nice. So for those that are listening, what he's saying is, as the CEO of the company, there are times when you dig in a little bit deeper on the technical side, but a lot of
Yes.
it is devoted to selling your business, right, and
Yes.
developing the product for consumers. So
Yes.
I really like that because a lot of people think that. That CEOs, after they get to that point of CEOs, they just kind
Yeah.
of kick back with their feet up on the desk and they just kind of let things happen. Everyone else is kind of working around it, but there's a lot of sales involved because
Yes.
you still are in charge of growing your business, right? That's
Absolutely.
just so people need to keep that in mind. CEOs, they have the big picture, they have the vision, and their role is to really grow the business, keep everyone else within the company happy, keep them
Yes.
working, keep them productive, and making the business expand. So excellent.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
I do want to touch on what you mentioned open source, and I'm a huge proponent of open source technologies.
Oh,
I'm a
okay.
huge Linux, yeah, I'm a huge Linux guy. Been
Oh,
involved in Linux for quite a while.
wow. Wow.
So it's really nice to hear you mention that. So
Yes.
yeah, kind of what's your process then? What's your
Mhm.
process for staying up on the trends and technologies? What magazines, what sites do you
Mhm.
frequent? Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh wow, that's a great question. In terms of staying on trends, I personally started as a Microsoft guy.
Mm,
This was way back on Windows 95, and
yeah, we all
then
started there.
and then I got on the open source side with Unix, actually Unix, and
Mm,
then Linux.
Okay.
It's really really been amazing. But my process for staying on top of trends, it really involves a lot of networking. So I'm a member of various user groups. So this was back then when user groups were big in Detroit. User groups for various technologies. It could be for Unix. It could be for just SQL Server, database servers. It could
Hmm.
be for just computer networking. And in those
Right.
processes, I will see various things that will catch my interests. I became Microsoft certified back in '99. I did the
Nice.
A plus. I did the Cisco CCNP. It was just mixing everything together to see how everything fits together. Which
Right.
is also why I enjoy just IT in general. It's really just having multiple majors in college in one big major: computer science, networking, web programming, and of course the database pieces of it. So the typical process is networking events. That helps me tremendously. I
Yeah.
do a lot of reading. I subscribe. Back in the day, it was called TechNet from Microsoft. I was subscribed to
Oh
those
yeah.
to get to understand what's going on in the technology space and what's coming. But
Hmm.
more lately, we listen very closely to our customers. And
Yeah.
that's where we get the biggest insights from. So we listen to the customers to understand their business, understand their industry, and then based
Hmm.
on the problems they're facing, it forces us to really dig and find what the right solutions would be, what the latest in code would be, what enhancements are coming, so we can
Yeah.
prepare for those. So it's from really solving day to day problems, complex problems. It forces us to stay very, very up to date on trends and up to date on technology.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love what you let off with because we're kindred spirits in that aspect because I started my career off in
Uh-huh.
the help desk,
Okay.
and A plus. I got my A plus
Oh,
certification, got my Network Plus
cool.
certification, then I got my
Uh-huh.
Linux Plus certification,
Oh,
then I went
nice.
on to my Cisco certifications, right?
Oh,
Um,
nice. Hmm.
and so I'm really glad you brought that up because
Yes.
that's another avenue, that's another
Yes.
path that people can take.
Yes.
This is before I even went back to college, right? I
Wow.
got those certifications first.
Yes.
Um, and so those certifications for me provided a really good basis
Hmm.
for learning how things fit together, right? So
Yes. Yes.
the A plus part of it, and I'm pretty sure you remember this, is all dealt with
Hmm.
Windows operating system and
Yes.
and PC hardware. Then
Yes.
you bring in the networking part of it, right? And
Uh-huh.
how do these computers now talk to each other? How do
Yes.
they how do programs and processes and all that
Yes.
stuff, how do they interact, right?
Yes.
um,
Yes.
and so I think it's important for people to understand, like, there's a basis that you need to have
Yes.
first, and it's
Yes.
really really important that you have that base in which to build upon, and then
Yes.
once you do that, you branch off, and
Hmm.
everything else is really based on those things. You have input, right?
Yes.
You have processing, and then you
Hmm.
have output,
Output.
right? And
Absolutely.
yeah, and all those things are encompassed in those certifications, right? A
Yes.
plus, Network Plus, your CCNA, all that stuff.
Yes.
So,
Yes. Yes.
yeah, definitely. And the open source space, I
Uh-huh.
really try to make sure that our community knows a lot about that because
Hmm.
it's you know there were when I was going to
Hmm.
Linux conferences and things like that, I didn't see a lot of black women and men at these
Yes.
conferences.
Yes.
And the thing about it is, these technologies, these open source technologies, can really help empower your business. Say
Oh,
you're small.
yes.
Say you're a small business and you don't have a lot
Yes.
of capital to go and buy
Yes.
all these licenses or buy this expensive software. You can
Yes.
always, most of the time, you can always find an alternative and these
Yes.
open source technologies that can do what you need it to do for little to
Definitely.
no cost at all.
Oh yes.
On top of that, the other part of that is learning these technologies,
Hmm.
being able to use these technologies to learn about how computers work and things like that. Because
Yes.
now you have this free and open source outlet in order to really learn how technologies interact with each other and work that you don't have to pay for, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
you have that aspect of it as well. So I'm
Yes.
really glad you brought up open source, man. I'm a huge proponent of it.
Oh, me too.
What's up, everyone? We hope that you're enjoying this episode of the Blacks in Technology Big Tech Talk podcast. Do you or someone you know have a dope story that they want to share with our bit audience? Blacks in Technology is seeking guests to be on our podcast. We're looking to highlight the journeys and experiences of black women and men in the tech industry. So if you know of someone, send them our way. Shoot us an email to contact us at blacksintechnology.net or click on the link in the show notes and fill out our form. We're looking to hear from you.
So tell us a little bit about Bomalink. That's kind of
Oh
the real big
yeah.
reason why we're here. Let's hear about Bomalink. Tell us about
Yes.
that.
Yes, Bomalink, Bomalink. Oh wow! As you were talking about open source, it
Hmm.
all that kept coming to my mind, Greg, was Bomalink and how open source has really helped us to build a potential giant. Open source has really helped the little man to save on costs, save on resources to be able to
Yes.
compete with the bigger companies. So back in the day, to build a platform like Bomalink, you need to build a data center. You need to have all kinds of hardware closets and fault tolerance and disks and RAID 5s and all kinds of stuff. But
Yeah.
now open source is the magic that gives the little man an opportunity to also play at the same table. So but then Bomalink really is a professional networking and collaboration site for people of African descent. It connects
Mm.
us with opportunities on the continent, opportunities across the world in the forms of jobs or business contracts. And the reason that this came about was during my travels across
Mhm.
Africa in the last few years. I could share this right now. I'm planning to
Yeah,
run.
definitely.
Yes, I'm planning to run for president of Nigeria in 3 years, and part of my long-term strategy is to really get to know Africa, get to know the people, get to know various African leaders, and because of that, I was invited to many conferences on the continent where you get to meet presidents and leaders of industry. And some
Wow.
of these conferences were around infrastructure, trying to help Africa operate as one big country and not like the way it is now. After colonization, where everyone is, I mean,
Mm.
it's really a terrible mess. But
Yeah.
Greg, in these meetings, one major thing jumped out at me. That major thing is this: we as Black
Hmm.
people, we give our data away for free. We give it away to Facebook, to LinkedIn, to Twitter, and they
Yeah.
sell this data and make billions of dollars. They sell it back to us, and we don't really
Yeah.
own this data. We don't really know who we are. We don't know how much resources we need in various areas. We don't know how much to spend on education. We don't know who
Yeah.
knows C sharp. We don't know who is a good professor. We don't have this data at our disposal, and the leaders of Africa were literally helpless in this area, and they look to
Wow.
us for help. Those of us like you and me in the
Yeah.
African diaspora, they need us to know
Yeah.
what's going on. There's lots of opportunities which are being given to foreigners like China. So China is really all over
Yeah.
Africa right now, in the front of all these opportunities. Bomalink is the platform where the African leaders can go to find the Gregs of the world, the Sholas of the world, and tap us on the shoulder to come bid on various contracts or job opportunities on the
Mm,
continent, giving us the chance to build an Africa that we want and an Africa that we can truly believe in. So, in a nutshell, that's really how Bomalink started. And I saw that. I informed. This was back when with the former Prime Minister of Kenya who put this conference together. And I told him that, look, I'm going to go and build a platform. It will help everyone. And I didn't wait for approval. I didn't wait for capital or funding. I'm a strong believer that if you can see it in your
okay.
mind, once I saw that gap in the
Mm-hmm.
Black African technology space where we're
Right.
missing the ownership of our data, I decided to move forward and build Bomalink so that the leaders of Africa could tap you and I on the shoulder when they need us and match us
Right.
with various opportunities so that we can build the Africa that we want, the Africa that we believe in our own best interests. And
Yeah.
then we can always come back home and reclaim our inheritance because Africa really belongs to all of us of African descent. It's time we reclaim
Yes.
that, and that really was the origin of what Bomalink stood for, and has evolved ever since.
I think that's fantastic, and I'll say this. I think Africa is, and I don't mean to be, I don't mean to brag, or I don't mean to, um, put myself on some type of pedestal, but
Uh-huh.
I honestly think that the Africa is my calling.
Oh
I
wow!
think that's where Bit needs to be.
Yes,
I think that something like Bit and what we can bring to the African continent would be very
yes,
welcomed.
yes,
And I honestly, like, my end goal is to make sure that Bit expands into Africa. So it's really
yes.
um, interesting that you mentioned that, because I think it's important. I think a lot of people, we get we get content with
Yes,
the American way of doing things, and our
yes.
lifestyle here, even though that this country is not, it's not built for us. It's not
Hmm.
meant for us. And
Hmm.
I feel that even though we built it, right? Even
Yes,
though our ancestors built this country,
yes,
it still feels like that, even to this day, that there's this unseen or sane power that
yes.
is pushing us or trying to push us out of here.
Hmm.
Um, and yes, we have a right to claim what is ours in this country,
Hmm.
but at the same time, I always feel that Africa is
Hmm.
where we need to be,
Yes.
that's where we need to be building a foundation at. And so ultimately, I would love to bring Bit to Africa. I
Yes.
would love to bring
Oh
a Bit
yes.
a Blacks in Technology conference. We've had two here in
Yes.
America, but I would love
Yes.
to bring something like that to Africa as well.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I'm saying this. I'm saying this to say,
Yes.
when you become president, don't forget about me.
You know what, Greg? I'll probably use this opportunity to let you know how honored and proud I am of you personally
Oh
and
man,
what
thank
you
you.
have done with Bits. I read about Bits and it's really amazing. Actually, we have a mutual friend. He's based in Minnesota, Jote, and I believe he was one of your
Okay,
first attendees. And we met
nice.
together. Yeah, I met with Jote. I think we went to Nairobi together for one of these conferences. But it's
Okay.
really, really, really amazing what you have done. You are exactly what Africa needs. We
Oh
need
wow.
you to come home because Africa has been given away to other
Yeah.
nations. They're buying up and taking up all the land, taking up all the resources. And that part of it is because the leaders of Africa don't know who we are here in America and how to reach us. It's really
Yeah.
time that we tell them. So part of the Bomalink strategy is really just getting together with various African presidents, starting with the African Union, and then
Hmm.
introducing our brothers and sisters here in the diaspora through bits and getting more exposure to what's happening on the continent. So again, thank you really really much for taking
I
the
appreciate it.
initiative to put this bit conference together, and I'm looking forward to the next one by all means.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I really appreciate that. It's funny because as the founder,
Yeah.
I try to stay humble. And even though we've had two conferences, it still
Uh-huh.
feels like there's a lot of work that needs to be done. So I never try to I never, my head is never gets too big, right? I
Yes.
always try to stay grounded because I
Yes.
know that there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and in
Yes.
order for me to be able to I can't think that I've made it, right? So I have to
Yes.
always think like
Yes.
I need to keep going. I need to
Yes.
pursue bigger and better things, and I need to really do the things that is going to allow us to really progress in this ecosystem. So
Absolutely.
I
Yes.
really appreciate what you said, though. I really thrive on
Uh-huh.
hearing people tell me like, hey, this has really impacted them, and this is really great that what
Yes.
you're doing. So I appreciate that.
Yes.
Um,
Absolutely.
and so I want to talk a little bit about kind of walk us through how Bomalink works.
Mhm.
Like what are the steps to kind of be introduced to the platform?
Oh yeah, that's pretty simple. Just go to bomalink.com and
Hmm.
register typically how you would register on any social media platform. Username, password, name, those basic stuff. And
Right.
once you get on, you would right away see conversations going on, people sharing
Right.
various subjects about the black world, about Africa, about opportunities. You have
Hmm.
the ability to connect with other people, to follow black companies on the
Right.
platform. I mean, we're over 1,000 people strong, and we just recently did a soft launch. We
Nice.
really haven't launched officially. I mean, we're looking to officially do a public launch sometime in July. But it's really gained momentum, gained really great traction while we strategize on our marketing strategy and
Right.
the other things we need to expand on. But getting on the platform is really simple, same way you would get on, say, like a LinkedIn, but with much more in depth focus on our causes as it
Nice.
pertains to our people around the world.
Nice. Nice. And I do want to say to all of the bit audience out there that's listening, I have signed up for Bomalink. I've
Yay!
actually posted it. Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. I have to support. Like it's funny that you'll see people who and with podcasts it'll
Yeah.
invite people on it, but they don't actually support the things that they do, and so
Oh wow.
I always try to make sure that if I bring a guest on and they're part of a something that they built, their platform or something like that, that I want to
Yes.
try to be a part of it as much as I can. So I
Oh,
did sign up.
beautiful. Thank you.
I'm posting on there. I'm watching it and things like that. And what I want to do, I
Yeah.
want to help promote this for you. So I want to do more than just a podcast. I want to
Yes.
do an article and put that up on Bit and let people know
Oh,
about what Bomalink
sweet.
is. So
Thank
we're gonna
you.
do that. We're gonna
Oh,
we're gonna after this podcast, I'll reach out to you and things like that, and we'll make this happen because I think this is something that's
yes.
needed.
Yes.
And I think something like this that it needs the support of the community,
Yes.
and I think the bit community would support it. So we'll make it
Beautiful.
happen.
Thank you
Excellent.
so very kindly. I appreciate this,
No, no
Greg.
problem. Yeah, no problem. So, kind of, what's your goal for Romalink? Like, what ultimately, like, what do you want this to become?
Okay. So the word Boma, the name Bomalink, Boma
Yeah.
is the Swahili term for gathering. So like a gathering of the community or the
Hmm.
gathering of elders to make decisions that affect the village, the town, the city. So Boma Link really is a gathering of all of us. One thing that is very clear as Africans and African people across the world is we
Hmm.
are very disunited. We operate in various silos. My
Yeah.
vision for Bomalink is to bring it all together, still maintaining the different organizations, the different silos, but in one spot where if we have the National Association of Black MBAs looking to do something with the national or the 100 black men, for instance, they can
Right.
see each other, they can reach out to each other in one space, somewhere that we feel like it's home, where we feel welcome, and where we feel we can make the greatest impact for our collective race. So the long-term goal is really around fostering unity, group collaboration, where we can come
Yeah.
together just like every other nation is doing. I mean, look at the Jewish nations. You know, look at
Yeah.
the Middle East. They come together and make tremendous impacts. We can't do it by ourselves
Yeah.
anymore, Greg. We have to come together and really build and help the black race rise up again to where we were. I believe we've always been kings, we've always been queens. We were the firsts. We built nations, we invented things. But something happened. I don't know when, maybe thousands of years ago, millions of years ago. I really don't know, that made us fall from this grace and sort of lost our way. I want to bring us back together. I honestly feel my destiny is to be a bridge between connecting our peoples together. I feel that's what I was
Mm.
born for. Yes.
I love that. And it's I want to tell this story,
Uh,
but I don't want to sound too cosmic, right?
okay.
um, but I had an experience with a young lady a few
Uh-huh.
years ago,
Uh-huh.
and she told me, and this is something like I never really thought of.
Hmm.
Before that, I wasn't thinking about Africa. I was just thinking about trying to get things going here in the
Yes.
USA.
Yes.
And we were at a networking event, and I think she's from the UK, but
Hmm.
she has some ties in Africa.
Yes.
And she said she came up to me. She said she was
Hmm.
glad to meet me. She had heard about me, and she
Yes.
said, "You are going to go to Africa." And I was just
Wow.
like, "What?"
It's already
And she
done.
said, "Yeah." She said, "You are." She said, "This is it's going to happen. You are going to go to Africa. You're going to bring Bit to Africa. You're going to." And
Yes.
she laid out this whole thing, and I was just, at first,
Wow.
I honestly have to say, I thought she was kind of crazy. I was like, "What are you talking about?" Like, I don't. And then it
Yeah.
started to dawn on me
Uh-huh.
the what she was saying,
Hmm.
and what really needed to be done.
Yes.
Here, here, let's just say the UK, let's just say Canada, let's just say
Hmm.
Australia. That's all fine and dandy, but
Hmm.
the real goal, the
Hmm.
real, I feel the what would really make this
Hmm.
a monumental thing is to all
Yes.
bring this back to the motherland, to all bring it
Yes.
back to Africa, to
Yes.
where we can set up a base of some
Hmm.
sort to really bring people, bring the community, bring black people in, so that
Yes.
we can utilize tech to become what white women, white men have
Yes.
been doing
Yes.
for years, right?
Yeah.
And bring us up to
Absolutely.
that point. And
Yes.
so I'm really I'm glad that you mentioned that.
Yes.
And I really
Yes.
want to see that type of thing. That's what I want to see come to fruition. That
Yeah.
right there.
Yes.
So
Yes.
so
Amazing.
you
Amazing.
you have Bomalink. Yeah, definitely,
Yes.
definitely. You have Bomalink, and
Uh-huh.
you have a couple other things that you have going on. within the family of Bomalink. You have Boma Fund, you have Boma RFP. Tell us a little bit about
Mhm.
each one of those. What are
Uh,
those?
Yes, the Africa Boma Fund was set up by a good friend and business partner. He
Hmm.
specializes in funds and capital. He's done stuff for Goldman Sachs and major institutions. The Africa Boma Fund is set up to help us to be successful, all of us. So let me give you a scenario. Say you
Yeah.
see a project in Ghana to build maybe some data centers for them, but it
Hmm.
requires some initial capital to execute that. Not a lot of businesses here in America have that kind of capital. Africa Boma Fund was set up to help us. They will give us the capital to help us accomplish the objectives of those contracts, and uh,
Okay.
and then we pay it back. Once we conclude that project. So it's very significant, especially if our competition is the Chinese. The Chinese will typically bring their own money to Africa and do
Right.
the project, and then they give the government maybe 30 years or more to pay it back, or they take something else in return, like some oil resources, some diamonds, those types of things.
Mm.
So to compete with
Right.
that, the Africa Boma Fund was set up to facilitate the success rates of us getting these projects and executing them successfully.
Right.
The other item you mentioned, so the RFP consultant. So one thing that a
Mm.
lot of people may or may not know is that doing business in Africa is very hard. Because as a result of colonization, we have 54, 55 countries that independently operates based on various European countries that colonized them, right? So,
Hmm.
which means the standards across the continent are not the same. They're all over the place, very different. So, for a black business here in America looking to do business in, say, Ghana or Nigeria, the
Right.
first thing is they're going to need help in preparing an RFP response, some kind of proposal on how they can do the project and how qualified they are, what means they have to do it. And they need help navigating the cultural items aspects of this as well. They don't know the social values for various countries, various tribes, and various
Hmm.
groups in these countries. That's where the Bomalink team comes in. So we have resources in three countries right now: Ghana, Kenya, and Nigeria. We're planning to have resources in most African countries where we're going to help our brothers and sisters here in America do business in Africa. And we're going to help them facilitate those meetings. We're going to hold their hands through the process to ensure they have a good chance in executing these projects. So that's really what the RFP consultant is. It's really a way to help us to get in and transition to getting into the continent. No need to take 5 trips internationally to facilitate winning a contract. We can do it for
Right.
you, and you just fly in once it's time to sign it. And that's really what it boils
Nice.
down to. And our teams in Africa working with our teams here in America to ensure that we have adequate representation for the greater good of those projects. Yes.
I love that idea of being kind of like that bridge and that proxy to
Yes.
doing business in Africa. I think that's huge because there's a in being in a big community and knowing and interacting with different entrepreneurs
Yeah.
and people with even just ideas, right? Like
Hmm.
they don't necessarily have to be. An entrepreneur in progress. They just
Yes.
people who have these ideas about things, but they don't know how to go about you know how to do it. They want to. They hear about Africa. They hear
Yes.
about how Africa is really upcoming
Yes.
as far as the tech scene and things like that. And Africa, there's countries in Africa where a lot of people don't know is
Hmm.
that. the middle class in certain countries in Africa is really really up and coming.
Yes. Oh yes.
Much more than the United States. You know, the black people here in the United States,
Absolutely.
and and to be able to tap into that, like a lot of people don't know how to do that. So it's great that you have something like Boma RFP to be that bridge and say, hey, you want to deliver a product, or you want to have a service that you want to deliver in Africa. Like, this is, let us kind of introduce you and be that bridge into Africa. So I think that's
Yes.
great for, yeah, excellent,
Yes.
excellent.
Yes. Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about the shows group. You kind of have your hands in. You got the Boma Fund, you got Boma RFP, you got Bomalink. Tell us about the shows group. You're like a man of many technical talents.
Well, thank you so much, Greg. Well, the BOMA RFP and the BOMA Fund, they're really just products on the BOMA Link venture.
Hmm.
The Sholex Group is really a separate LLC, which is really the parent company of Optimal Business Systems. So
Okay.
with the Sholex Group, I'm able to partner and invest in various technology startups, various tech initiatives, and that's really just a holding company for greater participation in various things in different markets here in the U.S. and also overseas. Yes. So, but typically it's focused around tech. There's been some other areas like we've looked at solar energy in Nigeria, but those are not very common. My core passion for ventures are usually things that are driven by some kind of tech software. And
Hmm.
it's been rewarding. You know, as an entrepreneur, we don't always win every time. I've failed many times, but I learned from those lessons, and is helped to evolve me to a more astute person in terms of business,
Right.
in terms of ventures. But yeah, thanks for asking that.
Yeah. I mean, failure is part of the journey, right? Like,
Yes.
it you have to embrace it. And it's one of those things to where it's lessons learned. I'm going through some of that with Bit right now.
Oh wow, wow.
Yeah, just you have your ups, you have your downs, um, and along the way, you learn from those downs,
Yes,
and you get better, you improve, and it's about continuous improvement. And as long as you're doing that, you actually, you're winning in my book.
yes, absolutely. Yes.
There's one thing, and shout out to one of my good friends, Ayuri Selassie,
Hmm.
out in Oakland. She
Hmm.
told me that a lot of these people are just winging it.
Hmm.
They're
Yes.
they're learning as they go. So
Yes.
don't think that because you failed that
Yes.
you are can't jump, get back into it and really improve. Like, these people
Yes.
have failed as well, and
Yes.
the difference is they failed so many times they know what not to do, right?
Yes. Yes.
And they incorporate that into their business experience and wisdom. And now, from the outside looking in, it looks like they have their stuff together and that they've been like this all the time. But in actuality, no, they've just failed. They just failed a lot. So
Yes.
I think that's really important for people
Yes.
to understand. Uh,
Absolutely.
yeah. So
Yes.
tell us about some of the companies, some of the ventures that you manage.
Well, it's mostly on the technology space, we have the primary one is the optimal business systems, which really is
Hmm.
my day job
Right.
around software development. But then we have financial based platforms in Africa,
Okay.
in the fintech space. A lot of ways, the way these deals are structured are where I could leverage my team and resources from Optimal Business Systems to help incubate and develop those. Those ventures. So a good one is a company called Prosperius Gold. This is based in Lagos, Nigeria. Is a electronic. Uh, it's called an electronic. It's more like a savings platform for just the
Hmm.
really low income people who go and do trades every day in the market. They sell tomatoes or rice or various things.
Right.
Yeah. So it's really things around there. There's also ventures on the energy space, technology for monitoring and tracking revenue around crude oil, natural gas,
Hmm.
and those types of things, which my team is also very involved in. We have the solar energy project, where we also build software for tracking the usage of power from renewable energies
Hmm.
and what's stored. It's really just helping little governments in small cities to scale and compete on the renewable energy space. And then we've done some unconventional things, like we've done some stuff in the clothing industry, manufacturing industry, helping
Nice.
to, yes, helping to increase. One key area is around how China is the major power in terms of manufacturing. I
Right.
believe Africa has the same, if not more, potential to become a huge powerhouse for the world. But it's a challenge sometimes to help the world see those potentials, and we try to
Hmm.
invest in little companies that could manufacture. There's a good friend of ours who does a lot of manufacturing for clothing, making clothes. So if
Right.
say like a Fubu, for instance, needs to make their jeans or shirts, they don't have to go to China. They can easily go to a factory in Africa
Right.
with comparable rates too. These are things that the costs are very, very affordable for various companies. So those are some of the things that we are involved in. And
Nice.
but I must confess though, right now Bomalink has taken tremendous amounts of our attention, our
Right.
time, because it's still in that early phase, and there's really a lot of work to do. We've learned so much in the process. We've failed many times in the process in the last year, but
Right.
we got to keep going. And I loved how you touched on that. Failure is not a bad thing as long as you have life and you have the will to want to just accomplish and keep doing it. Just do it.
Yeah.
We've been in
Yeah.
really hard times. I've been in situations where I didn't have payroll for my team, and but for whatever reason, somehow it always works out in the end. As long as you have that intention to just make it happen, it will happen.
Yeah. And I think it's important too. You mentioned just now about not making payroll, but here's the thing,
Hmm.
and this is where the support comes in, right? Because
Yes.
there, this is a normal thing. It's not
Hmm.
like, it's from the standpoint of being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
There's plenty of companies out there that at one point or another could not make payroll or was struggling to make payroll, right?
Hmm.
And the stigma that's associated with us, and this is why I think, being, uh, um, doing away with all those stereotypes about black businesses and things like that. We need to do away
Yeah.
with that because we give that
Yes.
leeway. We'll give that leeway to a white business,
Hmm.
but we won't give that same leeway to a black business, right? And
Yes.
the thing about it is these white businesses,
Hmm.
they've gone through the same exact thing, but we'll
Wow.
give them the benefit of the doubt that they will succeed some
Yes.
way if we
Yes.
support them, but we
Yes.
won't give the benefit of the doubt to black businesses. So I
Hmm.
think it's very important that we need to realize that, look inside ourselves and say, hey, what do what do we believe in? Do we really believe
Yes.
in supporting black businesses? Because if we do, then
Hmm.
then we support businesses no matter what. Even
Yes.
if even if at times you falter, we
Hmm.
still need to be there to support you, because we that support is what's going to determine whether or not you're successful. So
Yes.
so this is I say that to say this is nothing new. Businesses go through this all the
Yes,
time.
absolutely.
That
Yes,
it's exactly why these companies go back into
yes,
raise a Series B or a Series C
yes,
or a
yes,
Series D round, right?
yes,
It's not
yes.
it's not because it's because they need to more capital to make
Mhm,
payroll
mhm,
and various other things,
mhm.
right?
Yes,
And it's not because they're profitable and they're doing well, because most of these startups are not profitable at
yes,
all.
yes,
They need the extra capital to survive,
yes,
and so we need to give companies like you, people like you, the benefit of the doubt that as long as if we're there to support you, then we
yes,
can help you succeed. And I think
absolutely.
that's important.
Yes, yes, totally agree. Yes.
So let's switch gears to Agents of Hope. What is that? What's this nonprofit about?
Oh yeah,
What's the purpose
Agents
of
of
it?
Hope is it's really it's my outlet for in terms of helping and contributing as a human being, giving
Mm,
back. I've really growing up been through a lot of interesting challenges in my life, from my
yeah,
childhood to my adulthood. And I remember where I came from. I remember the people who've been there for me, the people who've helped me. I know what it's like to not have the right materials to study in class. I know what it's
right.
like to be removed from class because I didn't have the right amount of school fees to cover those classes. I know what
Wow.
it's like to be hungry and not know where my meal is going to come from. So with that, I created Agents of Hope as a way to help people to accomplish their dreams, their goals, their ambition through mentorship, to through guidance, and also through some kind of financial literacy. I'm sorry. So,
Right.
which is really what excites me around how Bomalink is pulling it all together. So, you touched upon the how Bit is also really helping black men and women to be adequately represented in the tech industry, and also
Right.
going to do conferences in Africa. Agents of Hope is really looking for organizations like Bit, where we could
Hmm.
bring you to a place where all it takes, I mean, you just never know what people are going through. Because you showed up in this conference or this school in, say, Rwanda, you've transformed the lives of many, many children. There are children who feel this sense of insignificance, and they feel like, wow, why would Greg want to come all the way here to tell me, that I can do it, to tell me that I'm important. Mentorship. They need to see shining examples of people like you, Greg, who have done it and who are open to sharing their stories. So Agents of Hope was formed
Mm,
for that purpose, to help connect successful people like yourself to people who need to see you, because typically successful peoples are they tend to be hard to reach. And
right.
once they and I love how you touched about being very humble, and not letting it get to your head where you feel you've done it and there's nothing else to do. There's always something to do. You can
Yeah.
never get bored when it comes to really living a purposeful life. So
Yeah.
yes, I founded Agents of Hope to help kids in schools. We do food drives in Africa. We do school supply drives here in Detroit. We go to disadvantaged communities where we know there are
Hmm.
children suffering, who it will mean a lot to them for people to come talk with them, give them the stuff that they need to be successful
Yeah.
here and also in Africa. And it's really been an amazing journey, just interacting with these young people and young adults who have great dreams and goals to be successful in life, and then sharing my story.
I think that's incredible. A lot of people don't understand. I don't want to say burden. I want to say that we take this upon our shoulders because we understand what's at stake here, right?
Mhm. Yes.
We understand the impact that someone like us can have on the next generation, or even someone who's directly our peer.
Yes.
um, and it takes a lot for someone to say, hey, this is not just for me,
Yeah.
it's for us.
It's for us.
uh,
Yes.
yeah, and so I really commend you for the work that you're doing,
Oh, thank you.
because I know it's not easy. It's, there's not awards at at every turn.
Hmm.
It's all about, being selfless,
Yes.
when you're doing this, because we don't expect, well, all we want to see is, we want to see impact. We want to
Yes.
see people prosper. And we don't care about the awards. We don't care about the accolades. It's not about that. It's not even about the money. It's
Yes.
more about, hey, what can we do to uplift Black people
Yes.
everywhere? And
Yes.
so I commend you for that. It's not an easy journey at times. Uh,
Yes.
there's some resistance.
Oh, yes.
Even within our community, there's some resistance. People that don't want to see you do well. But we push through it, because there's always those stories of people that say, "Hey, you impacted me, and this is how you
Mm,
impacted me."
yes.
And those are the stories that we really live for, and those are the
Yes.
reasons why we do what we do. So I really
Yes.
appreciate that.
Oh, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Thank you.
So what's next for you? What's next for Bomalink? What can we expect on the horizon?
Oh yeah, so on the horizon, you're gonna expect to see a lot of participation from
Hmm.
various Black organizations, various leaders. So, example, HBCUs, for instance, we're reaching out to those leaderships to encourage
Yes.
their members to come on board. We're reaching out to leaderships of the Black fraternity groups, the Divine Nine. We're reaching out to various African governments to also let them know what we're doing, let them know what opportunities we have to share that will attract more Black people to want to come back home. Come back home
Yeah.
and do projects and not run away, but also stay. If someone like you, Greg, with a huge passion for Africa, if you execute a major project in, say, Ghana, I'm sure you're going to want to use some of that, your profits to maybe build a home there, a second home where you can come visit when it's snowing here. You can always go to Ghana with your family.
Yes.
That's how it should be. We're global citizens. Africans are the most dispersed race in the world. We're everywhere. And this went way back towards the slavery times and before slavery when we were explorers. It's time to bring
Hmm.
all that together. So I would say to expect more unity and more collaboration amongst everyone of African descent. And we are going to build ourselves to the best of our ability, and we'll lift each other up as we climb. And the future generations will be very proud of you and me, Greg, as we do what we're meant to do and fulfill our destinies in this lifetime and many
Yeah.
lifetimes to come.
I agree wholeheartedly. Definitely inspirational what you just said.
Oh,
Um,
thanks.
I'm right here. Like, Bit is here to support you. Bit is
Oh,
here
thank
to,
you.
yeah. So just let me know what you
Yes.
need from us, what you want to do, and we'll work to make it happen. For sure. Um,
Fantastic.
so
Fantastic.
before we jump off of here,
Yes.
tell people how they can get in contact, how they can, what's the website? Tell us all of that.
Oh, sure, yes. The website is www.bomalink.com. Log in, create a profile, connect with me, find me, Shola Salako, on the platform. Look up
Hmm.
Greg on the platform, send us connection requests. Let's integrate, let's connect. You can also find us on social media. You can find us on Facebook, on LinkedIn, Instagram. You could also send me emails if you want, and I'll be more than happy to work with you, to communicate with you. My email address is shola@bomalink.com, And looking forward to really getting to meet more and more of our people so we can build together and make everything a much better place. And then I must add this, Greg. I know
Yes.
your
Yeah.
passion for Africa. I want to agree with you now that you and we are going to have a big conference in Africa.
Let's do it.
We will decide on what country. I think Nairobi is looking good. I really love the food there, the vibe. Or Ghana, the jollof rice is delicious. We could plan this together. It will be a dream come true. You and I are gonna hold it in our minds, and we are not gonna rest until it comes to pass, and it's gonna be fantastic.
I'm with it. Let's do it, man.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I really appreciate you being a guest on the Bit Tech Talk podcast, Shola. It was really
Thank
a
you.
pleasure. I wish you
Same here.
much success with Bomalink, with everything
Yes,
that you're doing. Let's stay connected for
absolutely.
sure.
Yes,
And let's do this for the Black community, right?
absolutely. Thank you so much for having me here,
Thank you.
Greg. Really proud of you,
No
man.
problem.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Yes.
Take care.
Okay. You too. Bye bye.
Bye. And that's it for this episode of the Blacks and Technology Big Tech Talk podcast. I definitely wanted to express gratitude and thanks to Shola Salako for being a guest and telling us his story and his journey. And just tune in next time, for our next podcast. Visit us at blacksandtechnology.net. We're on the Twitters, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and we're going to really make an impact. Thanks a lot, and thanks for listening. Take care.
Blacks in Technology.
Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology.